how to get them loose. Now once that's cooled, we're going to pull off some of these fins here. We're going to make a cut there.
No, we're going to put a new one in.
Yeah, you're right. We're putting a whole new one in. Never mind. So we're just going to put an elbow in. We're going to put an elbow in.
A new piece in.
A brand new radiator. What am I talking about? We're going to save this piece and we're going to use just a section of it for that piece. Alright, so now this is the pipe we just pulled off the wall. As you can see, the break right there. But watch, what he's doing is he's getting all the ice out. Because we're actually going to use a piece of it, but I wanted to show you how this works out at your house here when you get frozen pipes. Oh, it hasn't reached the end yet. I think there's stuff up there. Alright, as you can see, the ice is starting to fall out now. Some dirty water, but that's not unusual. You'd think that it would boil out and stay clean, but it doesn't work that way for some reason. Now the reason why we're doing this though is like I said, we're trying to get the ice out, but we want to get it out as a big piece instead of melt all the ice and then have a big mess. There we go. There we go. Now it's making its way out. It'll be a lot easier to clean up instead of having water all over the floor. Alright, so I'm going to pause it because you understand what we're getting at. Okay, now what he's doing is heating it up so he can wipe off all the old, I'm yelling for no reason, solder. Get it wiped off real good. Just a regular rag's fine. Still a little ice in there so you can see it steaming. We're in about 54 degrees right now. Clean it off really well. Preparation, just like in anything else, is the most important part. Love how I'm giving instructions to him while he's doing all the work. He's the expert. I just know what he's doing. You ever see that tattoo on his wrist walking around the street? You just be like, hey, thanks for that video, man.
Anytime, anytime.
Okay, now this is flux. I know his bottle says something paste or whatever, but get on there good, and that's basically like the glue that makes the solder stick.
Don't be scared, be generous. Make sure you cover the pipe all the way around and your fittings.
Alright, so cleaning the fitting out. You know, and these are all tools that, you know, once you have them, you won't use them often, but they'll come in handy.
Again, be generous. Don't be scared to use it.
sure you're trying to make sure he don't push that pipe into the floor by accident.
And make sure your fitting is all the way in. And as you can see, if you look close, the fitting is just about to the top of the 90. You don't want halfway stuff, because then it's not working properly. So make sure your fitting is all the way in.
That's a big one right here. You can see right on the end.
Yeah.
All right, so now this is the new piece of radiator that he's putting on. You have to clean this too. Everything has to be super clean. Except for the floor, obviously, somebody needs to sweep their bedroom.
All the stuff I use, you can buy at the local hardware store, Home Depot, Lowe's.
Or if you live in our neighborhood, True Value. No such thing as an old-fashioned hardware store anymore, unfortunately.
Again, make sure you flux the pipe thoroughly all the way around.
Okay, now these normally have like these little plastic things here. And the plastic things move over to this little bracket. These aren't actually the ones for it, but they work fine. So we're gonna make them work. See here?
Make sure that the pipe is all the way in the fitting. Push it till you can't push no more. It's in there. Now that piece is ready to roll.
Okay.
Let's take this off.
So you're gonna move that plastic bracket that I was talking about. You can either slide it down, or he had a further distance to go, so you're just gonna take it off and put it back on. It's not that big a deal if you put any bends or anything in these, but obviously they're designed to be this way, so if you can keep them in a nice, you can keep these all in nice perfect squares, then that's better, because what happens is the heat goes back and forth between these and it acts like a fan, and it actually radiates off of it, and that's why there's holes in between, so the air can get in between there. So if there's some bends and stuff, it's not a big deal, but just try not to.
Run the home stretch.
Okay, so now since this is the old one that we took the ice out of, and we're gonna cut pieces off and patch into where we need to. Okay, so what we're gonna do is take a coupling and slide it on here. So some of these are in the way, so just gonna cut a couple of them off, maybe 3 or 4 of them. Give them a little cut here. Channel locks. Pull them right off of there. Okay, you actually can wiggle them down, pull them off if you want. It's just a lot easier. But these things will cut you, so be very cautious. But now there's plenty of room for us to slide a coupling on, for us to use sandpaper, to do whatever we need to do, and these are out of the way. Okay, you don't want to remove any more than you need to. But in this particular room, there's plenty of heat. So we have plenty of room to take some of these off. Plus, like I said, we're actually adding some. So. Alright, so now he's just cleaning the pipe that we just cut. Sanding it down. There was no old solder because it was something we cut. So he doesn't have to heat it up and wipe it off or anything like that.
Flux and stuff that's over there.
Alright, so now he cleaned that pipe off. We got the flux, we got the solder, got the pipe cleaner. He's just cleaning the...
This is a coupling. They have 2 different types of coupling. They have slip couplings where there is no stop. As you can see, this goes all the way through. And then they have ones which stop, which has a little tit on the inside of the coupling, which makes the pipe stop halfway through so you don't disconnect each other.
Hold on
So
1 second.
I happen to have a stop in my bag. Now, as you can see, stop, no stop. I'm going to put the no stop on first so you can see what I'm saying.
Okay, this is a no stop. So he can slide it as far as he wants, all right? All the way
Past. Pipe is exposed, so it's not doing nothing technically right now. So now it's on, and it's halfway on the pipe, and you can slide another pipe into it.
Okay, now this one
Has the stop.
now we'll show the nipple there real quick there.
As you can see, there
Hold
might
on,
be a
hold still
little
there.
tit inside there. It's hard to see.
Where is it? Oh, there we go, right there on the bottom. See, right on the, let me see if I can get my finger in here, bottom right there. You see that little circle? That tiny little bump will stop it from sliding. Now it depends on what you're using, whether you need one or the other. Sometimes one won't
Clean the
work
pipe,
and others
clean the
will.
couplings,
Yeah.
so it slides easier onto the pipe. Might be a little tough, but it'll work. A little difficulty here. Hold on. Let's try some flux to lube up the pipe, which always works.
Okay, see, he's putting it on both sides. He's gonna have to do that anyway, even though he's just doing this just to show you.
A little tough, so a little persuasion doesn't hurt. Okay. Now, as you can see inside, the pipe has stopped at that mark.
Now, as a matter of fact, you can see the nipple is right there.
So now that stops the coupling from going any further.
Now, the reason he does not want that is because when we make the measurement to put in the piece from here to here, this is already flared. So a pipe will slide right into this one, and it will not slide in the other one. And if he has that stop on there, there's no way to slide it on. So what he's going to do is take that coupler, slide it past where it needs to go, put the piece we need in, and then he's going to slide it to where it needs to go.
Leave past the pipe, and then I'll slide it back onto the two pipes together. So for now, leave it out past so you know that you're good.
So now we're going to take some measurements. I'm going to clean some pipe first. I feel so dirty talking like that, cleaning some pipe.
Now with the pipe exposed, you can come within an 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch on that pipe. It doesn't have to be exactly tight, because then exactly you will make it difficult to put together. Edge of the flare to the edge of the pipe.
See, where he's putting it right where the pipe would actually stop at. It wouldn't stop here, it would stop where he has the measuring tape.
And to the end of the pipe.
And same on the other end.
Okay. 21 inches. You could go 21 1/8, but that would be tight. Give yourself some space.
Okay, now this is the old pipe that we pulled out. Now we have a break there, I believe there, and then there's a normal union that's already there, and then some more breaks over here. Okay, so instead of going to the end and trying to get 21 out, we're going to have trouble because we have a break there. So what he's going to do is he's going to try to open this back up, cutting out some fins.
You can use as much of the pipe you need as possible, so utilize it. Cut back on the fins, that way your pipe has fins when you put it in, instead of not being no pipe with fins on it.
See how he's got gloves on? Like I said, these things can cut you pretty good, so be careful. Okay, now what he's doing is he's clearing a spot so he can make his cut. Same on the other side. Okay, I just wanted to show real quick. Sorry about that. I don't like to advertise or whatever, but this is 3/4 inch couplings with no stop. We just grabbed a bunch of them. There's a elbow in here. This is not from this box, obviously, but anyway, it really is better to get more than what you need. We're obviously not going to use this many, but he's a plumber anyway, so you know he's going to use them. But you know, if you think you need 3, buy 4 or 5. Don't take that risk. You're gonna be running back and forth to the store. They're a couple bucks maybe. You know, you can always return it, but you never know when you need it. Okay, so back over here. Okay, he's starting to cut the pipe same way he did before.
Utilizing the spaces that I have. As you can see, I'm just past the break, so everything else past this break is still good pipe. So utilize it if possible.
You'll save yourself a lot of money. I'll tell you what, you know, prices that you got to pay when you know you need an emergency call, unfortunately, because it's not really the worker's fault, but he's also got to get up in the middle of the night, just like you don't have any heat in the middle of the night. Unfortunately, he's just trying to tighten it, but as you go around, you spin it, tighten it, spin it, tighten it, and, you know, it's a pain in the butt sometimes, but you know, like you said, a little bit of persuasion. Now, one thing you want to make sure is, you know, I gave him a pipe cutter and it wasn't actually, although it would cut the right size, it wasn't for the correct thickness, and because of it, it was starting to walk, which just means that the cutting wheel wasn't staying in a perfect circle as it was going around, so it's no good. So you got to make sure that, as you can see, where when he gets around, it's going on the same track no matter what every single time. So you need to make sure you have the proper tool, you know, and you don't have to buy the brand that he's got in his hand, but you know, as long as it's a good solid tool, you know. Clean off the pipe, because this is the contact surface where he's going to be putting flux and later on soldering to. So now, I'm going to take some measurements. Now, like he said, it's not an exact science, you know, that's why he said you can go from to 1/8 of an inch, but he wants it at relatively 21 inches. So if he makes that measurement and it's not exact on, it's not that big a deal as long as you're close enough where when you put that coupling on, you have enough contact surface on both sides. Not to mention you also still have a little bit of extra in our case, but you don't want to take that chance if you don't have to. So he's pulling off some fins, and then he's going to cut that piece with the pipe cutter. Alright, so now we're at 21 inches. He made a mark. Okay, he measured 21 inches from end to end. So now try to leave as many of these as possible, obviously. Might have to still move some more, but that's alright. So now, once again, we're going to use the pipe cutter and cut the pipe. Alright, so pipe cutter's on there.
Right.
Focus. Focus.
No, it should be
I don't
all the
know.
way
There we
in
go.
back.
Alright, so now there's the mark. There's that's the blade right there. Okay, and there's the mark. Alright, so now you just twist, tighten,
Yes.
twist, tighten, So here we go, twist. Now I tighten. It's a little bit hard to do because it's a cutting surface. Plus this could be an older cutter, you know, who knows how much it wants to do, how sharp that blade is, but give it a good turn again. That's why he was using the pliers before, but you get the point. So I'm going to use 2 hands and do this, but you get how it works. Twist, tighten, twist, tighten.
And once you got the pipe cut through, you don't have to cut everything too because they can slide off. That easy. Little wiggle.
So you could actually reuse them if you needed to.
Exactly.
If you wanted to add them somewhere else to break one. Not a big deal. He was just trying to demonstrate that.
Give yourself plenty of room for your coupling.
He's got some gloves on though.
Definitely give yourself plenty of room for coupling. You don't want to be fighting with this thing when you're soldering it. That's pretty good for a coupling. Now we're going to take this piece.
Alright, once again, do not forget every single time you got to clean. And I just learned something that's called a scratch cloth. That is not sandpaper. But sandpaper will work at the correct grit. But that's the best thing to use. You can find it in the HVAC aisle, plumbing aisle. HVAC is heating, ventilation, plumbing, air conditioning, in case you weren't familiar. Okay, so he's pulling off some more fins in order to have enough room for the coupling and soldering and sanding and whatever he needs to do. Okay, on the old pipe, pulling these off. Okay. As you can see, he's got another old one. Some flux. Remember, he already cleaned inside of that one with the brush that goes inside of there. Put flux on both sides generously. Okay, and as you can see, if there was a stop coupling on there, he would not have been able to slide that on. That's some frozen rag there from frozen water, which actually worked pretty good when he's trying to protect all that wood and everything from catching on, well, not really fire, but you know, possible.
So now we are ready to solder. That size already measured.
All right, so over here, it's the same thing. Now what you can do, if you wanted to, when you slide this on, you know, you want the coupling to be about halfway. So what you could do is you could put it right here. You can make a mark with a marker, pencil, something like that if you wanted to. So that way when you slide this on, you know where to stop. Alright, because originally you're going to have to go past, put the pipe on, and then slide it back that way. And that way you'll know where to stop. So we're going to do the same thing we did before, and we're going to make another piece to it'll go from there to there. Alright, so here's the piece he's cut. Now what he's going to do, he's going to clean it up, flux it up, slide it in. Now we're trying to just get everything prepared so that we can, well, he can run down and just
solder everything all at once.
There you go. Oh, he knows what I'm thinking. He's so smart. Yeah. Now you do have a tiny bit of room, as you see. He had to kind of lift the, excuse me, the one to the right a little bit, and then as you can see, he's sliding them both over. You know, getting them centered. Like I said, you can mark it if you want, if you're not confident with it or whatever. And now normally doing so many unions is not a great idea. You know, if you have a whole bunch of bursts,
Couplings, not unions.
I'm
couplings.
sorry, couplings. You know, normally that wouldn't be great, but this room gets over hot to begin with, and like I said, where we lost some, we gained some. So that's the reason we were willing to do that. But normally, if you have too many brakes, don't put in a whole bunch of couplings. You have to do it proper, you know.
Do full piece.
Be a lot easier to run one piece from here to here if you had a whole bunch of brakes. Sorry. If you had a whole bunch of brakes. And I think 6 foot was $50, so somewhere around there. I can't remember, but you know, do it the right way. You do want as many of these fins as possible, but like I said, there's a little bit too much heat in this room to begin with, so it's really not a big deal in this particular room. All right, so now after a little bit of pizza, don't forget your pizza whenever you're working on your heating system. Everything is set how it's going to be set, all right, around all the way. So now we're just going to show you one, and I'm going to end the video. But he's just going to go around, and he's going to do this. He's going to solder all these joints, one by one, everything we put in. All right, so now he's trying to... We have different MAP gases. He's using one with a small tip because he doesn't want to, like, burn everything. You want to get it real hot, and you want to get hot everywhere through. He'll explain that a little better. But you do not want to burn it so much that you burn the flux out. All right, so... Watch, he'll explain what he's doing.
Try to keep the heat towards the bottom. Like anything else, heat rises. So go back and forth. Being how this is a coupling, try to preheat, is what they call it, your fittings to melt the flux that's inside the fittings. Being how there's no heat in this room, so it's very cold in here. So this is why I am preheating the joint, as they call it. To test if it's ready is the solder will melt, as you can see, and it will melt all the way around because you preheated the joint, as you can see. Move on to the next joint, and so on.
Okay, as you can see, because you got it nice and hot, it sucked it right in, and it's in there nice and perfect.
And that should be a successful joint. As you can see, it's sucked all the way around. Clean it up a little bit if you want.
Now, what he means by clean it up, you just hit it with the rag, and what it does, it takes all that excess off. Now, if you want to hit it with that little sandpaper rag thing or whatever, real quick, that'll be fine, but nothing too crazy. Nobody's going to see this.
And that joint is complete.
Okay? Now, as you can see, the rag caught all the extra solder, so you didn't ruin the floor. Alright, well, thanks for watching. I hope this helped you out, and like, comment, share, subscribe, all that stuff.